So we've dug another VESS pit in the same field. What are we looking for here, Beth?
Okay, yeah, so we're going to do another VESS survey here using our chart, which we've got here. We're going to look at the depth, firstly, of the top layer, and then the depth of the bottom layer as well. So here we've got our handy ruler at the sound of our chart. So here we've got around 7 centimetres of the upper layer, and then another 10 for your bottom layer. So it's important to identify our top layer from our bottom layer, and really what we're doing there is just looking at that top layer here where we've got that significant root growth going on here, and we can see the change in structure as it's moving down. We've got this kind of really porous element there, and then we've got much more blocky aggregates coming down, which is our bottom layer. So what we're going to do, we're going to just look at the structure using our 1 to 5 VESS chart, 1 being very crumbly and friable, 5 being very compacted. So we're going to start by just feeling the soil, breaking it apart. As you can see, it's breaking apart relatively easily. It's got great root structure. It's a pasture field, so we would expect that in here. So it's got our perennial crops in there. So we're going to break that open, and we're going to work out how easy it is to break that open, and that was relatively straightforward. As we're doing it, we just want to make sure if we see any worms, put them to one side. So that's going to be really handy for our worm count and our indicator of our biological activity. And I've got one here. He's tucked up because it's super dry.
Well, you got a worm.
I've got a worm. So here we go. I'm going to put him to one side because we're going to count them later. Worms are a great biological activity, and we found that in the top layer, so which we'd expect. There's lots of roots here that they can feed on. We can also see some nice vertical fissures, which are great for drainage. That's a good sign of biological activity and drainage. We're looking for like pores, so we're looking for small holes in the top layer. We can see that. So we've got indication of good nutrient and water holding capacity, nutrient cycling and water flow. So that's a good sign too. So we're going to have a quick look at our VESS chart, and I would put that down to an SQ2. So mostly porous, and roots are throughout the soil, so we can see that there.
These clumps are very hard. What does that indicate to you?
So where did you get that from?
I got that from this part.
So this is our bottom layer, yeah. So we can see here, if we go into our bottom layer, we've got some larger, bit more difficult to break open, but still not super difficult. So we've got another worm in here, which again is a great sign. But yeah, this one's looking a lot firmer, this bottom layer. So we'll be looking at probably moving down the chart to maybe more of a 3, because we have got a firmer layer at the base there, which indicates probably less nutrient and water movement. So it's worth us noting that down as an indicator of the structural quality of the soil.
And we can put that on the notes section.
We can. So we're looking as well, because it is a firmer soil at the bottom, but what we have got, which is encouraging, is we have actually got roots penetrated into there, which is great, because it means that they can scavenge in there. But as you can see, I'm sort of trying to open that up. And it's quite tough. So I'm just having a look at it. Okay, got some biology, which is good. So again, we could pop that in the notes. That's what would be a really great idea, because we've got some really interesting things going on in here. We've got roots here, like holding that aggregate together, which is great. So I would say, because we've got roots going through, but we have got definite lower porosity in there, less water and nutrient holding capacity in there. So we'd probably put that down to an SQ3, which would be categorised as a firmer soil. And we found some worms in there as well, which is great. And some mites. Nice. That's quite a good sign.
Yeah, we can see even though
it's
it's
really
dry,
good sign.
it's full of life actually.
It is, which is brilliant. Again, it's worth noting that down so that when you come back to the same place in a few years' time, to get another snapshot of how your soil's doing with the changing management you might be doing, come back and see how it compares.
Yeah, and of course the app records exactly where you are.
Yeah, which is super important when it comes to soil, because it can be really variable even within a field.
Make sure you check out the other videos on the how-to series at the Soil Association Exchange.